What is up, Pats Nation? It is Patriots Global back here with another video and with breaking news. The New England Patriots have released wide receiver Bruce Ellington. And if that name sounds familiar to you, that's probably because the Patriots signed him this offseason in free agency on March 14th. Sad to say that the Patriots will not be able to see really what Bruce Ellington has. He will not make it to minicamp, OTAs, training camp. We will not see him in a postseason game, or not postseason, a preseason game. I actually had the Patriots not keeping Bruce Ellington for the final 53-man roster. I kind of figured that he would get cut, but to be quite honest, I did not believe that he was going to get cut this soon. I had him at a training camp battling for a roster spot, ultimately not making it, but if you would have asked me back in March 14th when they signed him that he was going to be cut a couple months later, I would have told you you're joking. Now, some might be asking why this move came. Now, the Patriots have a 90-man roster. All NFL teams have a 90-man roster that they have to keep at 90 players. With the signing of Jared Veldheer, the offensive tackle, I'll put a link to that video in the description box below if you guys want to go check that video out. But because of them signing Jared Veldheer, they were at 91, so they had to cut a player to get it back down to 90, and Bruce Ellington had to be that odd man out. Now, this is the receiver, a type of receiver that has been plagued by injuries, especially when it comes to his hamstring issues and the money he was making. I remember when they signed him, and when I made the video about him, I said this in the video that the money he was making in his one-year deal was very shockingly low, and there was no means that he was going to be a roster lock. And because of the injury settlement that they had on him when they signed him to a contract, they were able to release him. So really, it just came as a mix. It became one as they have started to create a lot of depth at wide receiver, some nice depth at wide receiver. And then, of course, Jared Veldheer came along, and they had to, again, cut that roster down to 90. And I think that he's still dealing with some injuries, and the Patriots have noticed that. And so they kind of just said, all right, we're going to kind of just bump you out. So some background on him is that Ellington is a veteran of 5 NFL seasons. He's appeared in 44 games between the San Francisco 49ers from 2014 to 2016 and the Houston Texans from 2017 to 2018. And the Detroit Lions in 2018 also. He had 79 receptions and 5 touchdowns in his career and was brought in to add some nice depth for the Patriots at receiver. But again, they have added some very nice depth at said position ever since, say, free agency hit. You look at who the Patriots have right now, like Julian Edelman, Demaryius Thomas, Philip Dorsett, N'Keal Harry, Braxton Berrios, Maurice Harris, Damian Patterson, Ryan Davis, Xavier Abosi, Jacoby Myers. Like, there is a lot of wide receivers on this Patriots depth chart, and I wouldn't be surprised to see them still be adding to the wide receiver core. Not to mention that Josh Gordon still does have that possibility of coming out, and you're not going to carry 1,010,000,000 different wide receivers. So again, it makes sense that the Patriots cut Bruce Ellington. Personally, I would have loved to see what Bruce Ellington would have brought to the Patriots. Now, he wasn't anything super special. He was actually a pretty short guy. He was only 5'9", 196 pounds. So he wasn't a guy that brought anything nice when it came to height or a builded frame. And he also really was not the type of receiver to be able to play on the outside. He, again, was that slot, the guy who would play more so in the middle. And the Patriots already have a lot of those guys in Julian Edelman and Braxton Berrios, Demaryius Thomas, but Demaryius Thomas could also play on the outside, but just a lot of depth that can be played in the middle of the field. And what separated Bruce Ellington from those other guys, though, was his ability to accelerate. His speed was probably one of the best, if not the best, out of all of the Patriots wide receivers. Now, when I say that, I don't mean that he has this Brandon Cooks top-notch, top 5, top 10 in the NFL type of speed, but he had the speed to be able to get a nice foot ahead of, a defender. With just $25,000 in guaranteed money on his contract, were we all truly expecting him to make this final roster? I think another big reason that Bill Belichick brought him in was not to just add some veteran experience along with a guy who can finally add some good speed to the wide receiver core, but also to add a guy who can do kick returns, punt returns, because this guy has ability to be a kickoff returner. Now, I'm not saying he's a Cordero Patterson by any means. He really has not done anything top-notch when it comes to being a special teamer, but he can return kicks, and he does have the speed to be able to do so. Obviously, the Patriots have one of the best one of the best special team groups in the NFL. But then the Patriots, again, started to grow this depth. They brought in a N'Keal Harry who can do the same thing. So the importance of Bruce Ellington slowly started to go down. So out of the 11 wideouts that are still under contract with New England, only 3 of those guys were on the team's final roster for the 2018 season. So this is going to be something very interesting to watch, how Brady can connect with these new guys, but really to see the wide receiver battle this offseason in training camp. It is going to be a really good and a really exciting one, but I'm excited for that. Are you guys excited? What are you most excited for? Let me know in the comments below. What are your thoughts on Bruce Ellington being released? Let me know in the comments below. Also, make sure you guys like and subscribe. This helps me, the channel, and even you guys out very, very, very much. Make sure you guys share this video with everybody who knows we go to the Patriots Global family. And other than that, I will catch you guys in another video.